Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I've got one more project to share with you using the Stamp Market, Seasons Front, and Oh Christmas Tree die sets. This is going to be very similar to the Shadow Box card that I did for the Just the Cuts, but this time it's just going to be a shadow box, no door to peek through here, just easily looking right in. So I went through and gave you the dimensions. You're going to need two pieces of cardstock that are 5.5 by 6 inches, and then you're going to score each of those at, double check my measurements, score those at 4 1/4 and then 5 3/4. That's going to give our edges to create the box and get everything taped together. So starting out here, I'm going to take one of those pieces of cardstock. I'm going to use my door frame here and go ahead and line that up in the center of that square. Now this is measuring 4 1/4 by 5.5, so in between the edge and our first score line. I'm going to run that through, and that's going to create our doorway that we're going to peek into. Next, I'm going to grab some cardstock. I believe I used all Stamp Market cardstock for these cards. This is Sea Glass. And I'm going to cut out my door frame, which will go around our opening. So that's going to be all of the die cutting I'm going to do in the video. Everything else I have already pre-cut and we're just going to put together. But I wanted to show you how I was doing this on the card before everything is starting to take shape. So I'm going to grab some of my foam tape here. I want to add some dimension to my door frame, and I'm just going to run this around the edge. The nice thing about the foam tape is that it is so pliable. So if you pull away that backing, you're able to curve this really easily. You don't have to make lots of little cuts. You can just curve this with your fingers around that edge there. And then I'll go ahead and trim that, and I will just stick the backing back on that leftover piece and save that for later. I'm going to place this down. It's going to fit perfectly right around the edge of my cutout. Alright, I'm just going to run one of my blocks over that to make sure it is down nice and tight. And then we'll go ahead and start putting our box together. So I'm going to fold on both of my score lines. And I'll do the same thing with my other piece of cardstock. Then I'm going to grab my Scor-Tape and I'll run a line of that along that small sort of 1/4 of an inch fold there. Make sure that's down nice and tight as well. I'm going to start putting this together. So I'm going to peel away the backing from this first section, and you're basically just going to line that fold up right along the edge. Try and keep that as even as I can. Press that into place. Then I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to place my background here before I finish putting this together, just to make it a little bit easier. You want to do this after you attach the first piece, because that way you can place your paper down and it'll cover that seam. You're going to have a nice even background. So added some ATG there. I'm just going to center this right in between that square. And this is just shy of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I want to say I took probably about 1/8 of an inch off of each side. We'll go ahead and fold down my other tab, peel away the backing, and then I'm going to again line that up with the other edge, just like we did with the first one. So this way it will lie flat when we stick it inside our envelope. And there is the base of our box. So now we've got to add our inserts, which we're going to attach the tree and the presents to. So the largest of the two measures 1.5 inches, and then the smaller one is just 1 inch. And those are 6 wide. And then of course we have them scored with 1/4 of an inch on either side to create our little tabs, which we're going to place inside the box. Adding a little art glitter glue to either side of that, and I'm just going to divide this box roughly into thirds. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you just kind of want to see it as thirds, so we're marking off the back third. And I'm going to make sure that's down nice and tight. Fold that. You always want to test your folds when you're doing something like this, because you want to make sure you're going to have that folding flat the way that you want it to. And then we're going to do the same thing with the smaller piece. A little bit of art glitter glue, and this time we'll mark off sort of the first third of the box. Same thing, making sure to line it up with the bottom, also keeping it as straight as I can. And then we'll fold that to make sure that when we want to place this in the envelope, it's going to be nice and flat. You can use your Scor-Tape to do these as well, but I find that having the liquid glue, it just gives you that little extra bit of leeway to make sure everything's in position the way that you want it. So now we're going to put together our tree. So to make this dimensional, I'm going to use 2 of them. I'm going to score right down the middle of each of them. This is cut from cotton candy cardstock. And then I also cut out from some of the diamond glitter for the lights, more of that sea glass, some tropical teal, and cherry kisses for the red. So I'm going to fold these down in the middle. And then I will add some art glitter glue down the spine of just the one, and we'll sort of place these together. Just making sure I don't have too much extra glue. I want them stuck together, but really just in the middle there. I'm going to set that off to the side to dry, and while we wait on that, I will go ahead and put the lights together. I'm doing this the same way I have done them in previous videos. The video where I have all 4 of the cards, the different takes on the cards, I take you through this in detail, so I'm not going to continue that here. It does take quite a bit of time to layer all of these, but basically I'm just trimming off some of the bulbs and then layering one piece or one color on top of another until I have all the colors I want and all the bulbs filled. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this apart, which is going to give us some really nice dimension. And you can then take, you'll see I'm going to take my back pieces and almost place those together just to make sure that I'm getting as much dimension here as I can, holding it almost sort of backwards, if that makes sense. You could do this same type of thing with maybe 3 or 4 of them and create a freestanding tree, which would be really pretty for a table decoration or something if you're going to have a Christmas party. And then I'll go ahead here and place my lights on top of my tree. Once I have them in the position I want, I'm just going to add a little dot of glue strategically behind 1, 2, 3 of these bulbs, just to keep them in place. I'm going to attach this in the shadow box using some of my foam strips. So I'm going to grab one of those here and I will place that along the back side of the tree, all along the bottom. Alright, now we've got some presents to put together. I've gone ahead and cut these out and put the bows together just to save us some time. Again, in previous videos I've shown you how all of these bows fit together. They're very, very detailed. I love that they take such care and really see all these details in their dies. It's one of my favorite things about this company. Just going to add a little dot of art glitter glue. Get all of these bows put into place. Now I did do 6 presents. I will end up only using 5 of them, but I wanted to give myself lots of options. Alright, all of those are ready to go. So included in this pattern paper were some tags, and I grabbed this one. I thought this was perfect to place on the back of my box. So I'm going to do that, add some ATG there, and that way I don't have to worry about adding anything afterwards. Although you can flatten this and you would be able to write on it fairly easy. You're going to have a little bit of bulk with the tree and everything once you put it in there, but you could still write on it afterwards. So I peeled away the backing there, and I'm sorry I kind of take this off camera a little bit, but I needed to be able to look in that doorway, make sure I had my tree nice and straight. Then I'm just going to press that onto the larger back portion there. And then on the front one, we're going to add our presents. So here I'm just figuring out how I want to layer things, which ones I want to place together. I want it to look full but not too full, which again is why I ended up only using 5 of the presents instead of all 6. So I'm thinking about how I want to layer it, and then I come up with that, which I'm pretty happy with. And now I'm going to do the same thing I did with the tree. Just going to flip these over. I will add some foam tape to the back of it. And then we'll start layering these on. Same thing, a little bit of this foam strip along the bottom of each of these. And we'll get them all pressed into place. And I think this is a really fun something to send to a pen pal, maybe if you're doing a holiday exchange. This would even be great in a December daily. If you do those, you could use some of the wrapping paper that you're using for your presents. You know, we usually change that up each year and use those to create your presents in front of the tree. And that is going to complete our shadow box. I love the dimension. This is so much fun to put together. And then it will fold flat for storage or mailing or however you want to use this. Here are a few close-ups of the finished project. In the description box below, you'll find my blog post, which has additional photos and links to the supplies I used. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.